Good morning, YouTube Reseller Mom here. Welcome to today's video. Today I am going to show you how to get ungated in things for Amazon, primarily for Amazon FBA, but it works for Amazon FBM, which is fulfilled by Amazon or fulfilled by merchant selling on Amazon. So this is all about ungating. Today is June 3rd, 2021. That date is important because things on Amazon do change, and I want to make sure that if you're watching this video months down the road, things could have changed. So, welcome. Let's get started. This is going to be a very thorough, exact examples on how to get ungated with big things, big brands. Nike I have an example with, food category I have an example with, and while I would love to say that this is, 100% foolproof and you are guaranteed ungating, that's never the case. Never, ever has anything in Amazon ever guaranteed. So you need to know that with anybody out there that is helping out or influencing or selling a service of some sort. They can help out, and a lot of times it's very good advice, but things do change. So starting off here, we're going to go through the three types of ungating, and there is category, brand, and ASIN. So for example, if you are selling on Amazon and you cannot sell toys, any toys, that is a category gate. And then you may also have a gate for Lego, and that would be a brand gate. And then maybe there's a specific Lego, I just put an example in here, that is also locked down, and that's a particular ASIN. You may see this across the board on different things. Myself, when I go out to Kohl's and I shop for things to sell and I'm looking at Under Armour, a lot of times Amazon is on Under Armour listings, and that ASIN will be locked down to sell it as new. You can sell it as used, but I typically pass up on those things. A couple people have said they have had good luck selling new for Under Armour from Kohl's and whatnot, and so it's not something, you may want to get it, you may not, but be aware that there are three tiers of ungating. Whoops. So there is three kind of types of applications. So for each of the categories, you may get automatically approved. There is some sort of magical formula, and nobody knows what that formula is. I'll give you a hint there. Nobody knows. So you cannot go to boards or go to other sellers and say, how long until I get ungated in Nike? Well, you know what? I could give you an estimate. I could say I got it within 2 years. I got it after selling 6 months in clothing. But, it's all over the place. Some people get ungated automatically for things after 3 months, some after 3 years. It's going to depend on a lot of things, including that brand. Sometimes Amazon will open up more applications for the brands, or, kind of loosen the ropes a little bit. You're going to want to have good seller feedback. Things that will help is, experience. Amazon's going to look at how many orders you've done, how much feedback you've gotten, what kind of products have you sold, how long have you been in business, do you have any IP complaints? All of that's going to play a factor in there, but in the end, nobody really knows. So if you're not automatically approved, then you're going to need an invoice, not a receipt. For ungating purposes, they will not take receipts anymore. It used to be back in the day, back when I applied for grocery, health, and beauty, they would accept a receipt from Rite Aid or Safeway. It was really easy. That is not the case anymore. You will have to have an invoice. The paperwork needs to say invoice. That word, INVOICE, needs to be on that paper. And then there's a third type of just, they're not taking applications. And that's okay. Sometimes they are just not taking applications for a particular brand. I have never ever seen Dockers be open for anybody to apply to sell them, for example. there are many ways you can go and find things to sell and do applications. One of my favorites is to just open up the Amazon Seller app, type in something up here in the add a product, and then scroll through and see what requires approval. I do that for everything. Just think of things around your house and do this while you're watching TV or standing in line or any other downtime that you have, and that will really beef up your applications. I'm going to show you some other sites and stuff to get some other ideas on applying, but with the phone, I'm going to just type in something generic. I've typed in all sorts of words: toys, shoes, red, blue, clouds. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just type in something up here and see what shows up. Once you find something that requires approval, you're going to click that little request button. You'll get a page here that says, what you need approval to sell in, and I need, approval in toys plus this brand, and I'm just going to hit request approval. Hit request approval and see what happens. If you get auto approved, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to just say your selling application is approved. You can do this on the desktop as well. It works the same way. I just find the phone is pretty easy, and if you're watching something on TV or standing in line, it's pretty easy to do. Now, if it doesn't get auto-approved, it may look like this. So in this example, we tried for this toys, pullback vehicles. I don't even know what this brand is. It's probably a private label brand. So not all of these are ones that you're going to want to actually sell, but I find with more items that you have ungated, it will ungate you for the ones that you do have. Now that's just my conspiracy theory there, but I feel like if your account is more opened up, you have a better chance of getting opened up to other stuff. So in this example, it was an ASIN specific approval you needed, so B01MU whatever. And when I hit request approval, it wanted some transparency labels. Now, we're not going to get into transparency labels today, but most likely you're not going to have transparency labels, and that's fine. It's going to wind up in my draft section. So we're going to talk about that next. If you are on the desktop and you want to go see what your drafts are, which is important, you're going to go to inventory, add a product, and right down here it says products requiring approval. Now I marked two others. These are two other locations that I go to often from this path. And if you're navigating in Amazon, you know that there's a lot of different ways you can get to the same page. But whenever I'm looking at adding a variation, I want to use the variation wizard. I use that a lot. And I look at my G10 exemption status stuff quite a bit too. So it's also on this page. That was just something I thought I'd point out since we're here anyways. But for applications, we're going to click Manage Your Selling Applications, and you're going to get a page like this. Now, this is super handy because you can go through and see what needs action. You can filter it up here: needs action, approved, under review, declined, and draft. If you are new to Amazon, and even if you're not and you're just trying to beef up your approvals, you're going to go to draft. And here you can even do it by more. You can, search by category, brand, subcategory, ASIN. I usually just click on drafts, and this was really important when I was starting off. I would go to my drafts, and these would all have a gray go to application. I would right click and open them in a new tab to do it just in a mass form. If you start getting a whole bunch of applications going, you can see down here I have 140 pages. If I did just drafts, I think I have, 15, 20 pages maybe. And so going through and checking all of those for any new approvals is time consuming. And what do I mean? As your account grows and you become more mature, then some of these will automatically get approved by hitting that go to application button. So every couple of weeks, when I first started out, I probably did it monthly, then switched to quarterly, and now I'm at like twice a year. I go through all my applications, right click, open in a new thing, in a new tab, and see if I get approved for anything. Sometimes I do. I really think you ought to do this if you are just starting out. All right, so sometimes though, this one in particular, that's an example, it's not on the Amazon catalog anymore. So it's no longer a good ASIN. It's just kind of a junk draft that needs to be shut down eventually. I'm going to show you how to close these drafts too a little bit later and why it is important. So let's say you go and do an application and it wants an invoice. That is going to be the meat and potatoes of this video, going over invoices and how to submit them. I'm not going over transparencies. I've showed you how to do the auto approval. If you can get in auto approved, that's great. Some of you don't want to wait for the account maturity to get auto approved. Totally understand that. And there are some things that are just not going to be auto approved. DVD is one of them. I will never be automatically approved for DVD unless Amazon changes something. And right now, they've been pretty steady for the last 2-3 years of not approving anybody for DVDs without an invoice. So, diving into that, on these application pages, I strongly suggest, if you are doing them, to answer that, do you buy the products you intend to sell directly from distributors? I don't buy from liquidators usually. Yes, we want to buy from distributors. And how many units? I usually pick the largest amount of units. Sometimes the amount of units you have here is like super ridiculously high. So, you don't want to lie, but if you are kind of debating between two, go with the one that Amazon is going to want to have as a seller. They want to have sellers that buy from distributors, that buy from manufacturers, and that sell a lot. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for big players, not little fish in the sea here. So I usually hit those two buttons if I were to do this today. And then here is where we're going to start diving into invoice requirements. Whatever is in this blurb is what you need to provide to Amazon. I can't tell you how many people I have seen, try to do what Amazon doesn't want to do, and then they keep getting, they keep hitting a brick wall, and it's like, well, you got to do exactly what they say. It needs to be dated within the correct amount of time. It needs to have the correct name and address. We're going to dive into this a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more in just a second. So moving on, come on, mouse button. There we go. Closing an application. So if you have applications open, like the one I showed you, that's just no longer in the Amazon category, you may want to go shut those drafts down. The other reason you may want to shut it down is if you have applied, let's just take Nike, because I know y'all want to sell Nike, everybody does. If you have applied to sell Nike, 8 times and you're still having problems, I have heard that sometimes it helps to shut that application down and reapply fresh. So that could help. I don't know. How do you do it though? How do you shut down those drafts because you want to? There's no button on the actual drafts to shut it down. You need to open up a case and just put in there, please close the following applications. I typed in some random numbers there. You can make this a little bit nicer sounding. I find with Amazon, you don't want to be wordy with them. A lot of times the person on the other end only has a few seconds to kind of read your case, see what you want. You don't want to be confusing, just very succinct and to the point. I want to shut these following applications, and you may even want to say category application, or I want to shut down my Nike application. And if you have any case numbers, always put the case numbers. Any sort of information references would be good. So if it was brand, I would please close the following brand application for Nike. And then this help center, you got to kind of work with it. Amazon used to have a number that you could really call. Now you kind of have to go through this help tree, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but that's what we got to do, right? So you kind of click down here, click what makes sense for your issue, and this goes for any issues you have on Amazon. And you're going to get 2 options at the bottom. You can have them call you, or you can email them. On certain things, I want somebody on the phone. My goodness, I need, if it's anything sort of complicated, you want to get somebody on the phone. And more importantly, if you get somebody and you just can't hear them or understand them, just end the call and start a new call, and eventually you'll get somebody that has a better connection or understands what you're talking about. I have had reps that the accent is so thick, I just can't understand them, and they can't understand me, and or the connection is really, really bad. But I've also had really good reps that's clear connection and they can look into whatever and they can get it entered into the system correctly if you're having confusion as to what to put. A lot of times, if it's something like this, I just have an email because I don't really want to talk to them. I just want you to shut those drafts down for me, shut those applications down, and they're usually able to do it fairly easy. And then you're going to put in your email. If I'm doing it by email, I never put in my phone number. But if I have a phone, obviously if you have a phone number, you're going to have a number to call. And once they ring your phone, it's going to be pretty instantaneous that they call you. You're going to have to enter in a 4-digit code. So be ready for that. And then you got to get an agent. You want to, of course, set up your area to get a good phone call. I usually do it when I'm not expecting company, the kids don't need anything, I'm not cooking dinner, it's nice and quiet in the house. You want to have everything going in your favor. And sometimes those calls can take a little while depending on your situation. There are other ways you can get ideas on what to apply for with your account. If you don't want to go searching through just general add a product on the computer or add a product on your phone, there are other links, websites, Facebook groups that will share ungating stuff with people. I mean, it's just the amount of information out there, guys, is really unlimited. This is probably one of my favorites, and I have these guys bookmarked, and I really like their Facebook group as well. So FBA buy list, and I've blanked out because you know what, this is their thing and I'm just plugging them here in this video. This is not the end all be all. If you look up on Google like Amazon brands to ungate for, brands that have IP problems, you will find a lot of information. So I like joining Facebook groups. I like linking or bookmarking pages like this. You can go through these and type in just like Moen, add a product, type in Moen, and any one of those products that you need to apply for, you can go ahead and apply for, and then if you don't get it automatically, it will be in the drafts. And like I said, you go through all your drafts every couple of weeks, especially when you're starting out, and eventually you'll start getting automatically ungated for things. But moving on here, sometimes my mouse just doesn't want to roll. There we go. We're going to talk about how to get ungated with invoices now. Okay, because automatically getting approved for things is pretty easy. It's just automatic. It's with account maturity, and you're going to go through those drafts. But maybe, you've just been stuck on something for a while, and you really want to sell it, and you're ready to put some money down to sell the item. I'm going to walk you through, I think, 3 examples in here. I've got a toy example, a food example, and a Nike example. And I am sharing with you guys some links that probably will work for ungating. A lot of times, when somebody gets ungated for something, they will share their excitement on those Facebook boards, and they'll say, "Oh, I just got ungated for Funko Pop. I used EE distribution. It's great." And you're going to wonder, how do you do that? Okay. So, EE distribution is a great one for toys. Anything toys. Legos, Barbie, Marvel, Disney, Funko Pops. Trying to think what else off the top. I used them for WWE. No, I used Shepherd. I'll show you that invoice in a bit. But you are going to go through kind of the same procedure for anything that you want to get ungated for. You're going to need to find a wholesaler that works. In fact, did I do that? Yeah. Okay, here we go. I knew I had a page for that. You're going to follow the Facebook boards, social media people to learn about which websites will work. You're going to register, create an account with those websites, and then you're going to search for a product that you want to get ungated for, and you're going to need to match them up with the exact thing on Amazon. Even after doing everything, there's no guarantee that it will work. Just throwing that out there. I don't care if other people are selling you a course that says it's a guarantee, unless if they say they will give you your money back if it doesn't work. It's not a guarantee. And I don't think I've ever seen a 100% guarantee. They're 99% sure. I'm 99% sure that most of my stuff here is going to work for you, but I can never 100% guarantee it, right? Okay, you're going to want to keep in mind the price of the product and if you really are expecting to get any profit or capital back. The other thing I strongly recommend is to always have another platform that you can sell them on, or, that you're going to use the product itself. If you're trying to get Ungated in Lego, maybe everybody this year for Christmas gets a Lego set, because you might have product at the end of the day that you cannot sell on Amazon and you need to have a second way out. I would personally see if it can be sold on eBay. The other thing to note is, even if you are just getting items to get Ungated, you do not have to sell them on Amazon. You could just use the invoice to get the application to go through. That doesn't mean that you have to send them into Amazon. You could just use it to get Ungated. These are some of the sites that have worked for people in the past. We've got Eastbay for clothing. We've got grocery, health, and beauty items from Frontier Co-op. Lotus Lights for other beauty and health items. For toys, EE Distribution or Shepherd. And for DVDs, this company right here, AE, it's something entertainment. Alliance, something with an A, entertainment, for DVDs. Now the DVD minimum is really high. Some of these other ones, like these, are a little bit more affordable. And that's kind of my holdup right now for DVDs. It's probably going to cost me, I don't know, probably at least $500 to get Ungated in DVDs, because they have a really big minimum order that they absolutely want. The last time I talked to the rep, he said that too many people were using them to get Ungated with Amazon, so they increased their first time purchase to an insane amount to kind of curb people from doing that. So things change all the time. I mean, used to be that you could order 10 DVDs from them and they'd be fine, but people abused the system and they were sending or canceling the orders once they got the invoice, and it was really screwing over the company. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them that they upped it to an insane minimum. You don't want to abuse these companies, please. It just hurts the rest of us. Frontier Co-op has been kind of the go-to for anything grocery over the last year, maybe 2 years, and pretty easy to use. I actually think that you want to do the wholesale Frontier Co-op if you get a choice. I don't know if the regular one will work, but they have two sites. They have a wholesale one and they have a regular one. Eastbay has kind of been the newest one that I have seen over the last year, and I have had private conversations of people saying that it has worked for Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. So we're going to go through that one as well. These are all linked down below as well if you just want to click on the links. Again, probably go to the wholesale side for Frontier if you're going to. All right, back to EE Distribution. We've got our Funko Pops that we want, Star Wars Funko Pops. And we're going to type into EE Distribution, Star Wars Funko Pops, and then we're going to type it over here to Amazon, and we're going to look for a match. And you also need to look for one that you need to be Ungated in. It would really kind of suck if you went through and you found something and you did all that research and put money down and then found out that it's not the correct one. So a lot of double checking and stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of, it looks like 3 different listings for the same exact thing. And you'll see this once in a while. Sometimes people will have a good listing for a Funko Pop. We'll just say that this one's the best listing out of the 3. And then somebody comes along and they're like, oh, I can't sell Funko Pop. I'm going to create a new listing and try to bypass the gating. And it will eventually catch up and get sorted out into the correct things. The other things with Funko Pops, there's a lot of little things. So if you're just starting out, you're going to have to do a lot of research. With Funko Pops, there are chase variants. And a lot of times if you're buying wholesale, you cannot buy the chase variants particularly. And you want to watch out for that. So just within Funko Pops, there's that. It's extra little bit of information that you may not have known if you've never sold Funko Pops. That's going to be the same thing with like everything Amazon. It's going to take a lot of learning. So don't just dive into something and be like, oh, a Funko Pop is a Funko Pop is a Funko Pop. No. It's not. You also might see this little case right here. Most Amazon sellers that are serious are going to put their Funko Pops in these clear cases. You can buy them wholesale, or, I have a case of these holders out in the garage. When I send in my Funko Pops, they all go in those plastic cases because a lot of people are collecting them. They are a collectible type of item. So anyhow, my point is if you are an inexperienced seller, do not dive into any of these things that I'm talking about without a lot of research. Go to the Facebook boards, go to the Google, and, see all of the ins and outs and red flags for selling. Because I have seen more and more people pop up on Facebook going, I made a big old mistake and now my account is suspended. What can I do? Well, do your due diligence first so you don't wind up with a bunch of problems. All right. I don't remember why I took this screenshot. I put these slides together over a couple of days, and this one actually was from a couple of weeks ago because I started this whole video a while ago, at least the slides for it. I am constantly putting together content for you guys. So if you do like this content, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps out my channel. All right. I think it was because this is the one I was selecting, and let's see here. There we go. On EE distribution, from that first slide a while ago, there was this Funko Pop, and you can go down and you can find the UPC code. So in this example with EE distribution, you're going to want to go in, find the UPC code, and then search that UPC code over on Amazon to line up the product. Okay, application hints. When you're doing your applications, if it requires pictures of the product, you're going to have to do all 6 sides. I've seen a couple people that do all 4 sides, and they forget to do the top and the bottom. You have to do all 6 sides, and it has to be a picture that you yourself are taking, not just a web picture. We're going to go more into pictures and that later. If you're having invoice issues, you may need to annotate it, and we're going to go over annotation here in a minute. You're never going to mark up the original. Whether it's a paper or a digital, always keep a copy or a file of the original first, and then make a photocopy or another file for that invoice. You don't want to mark up and mess up. Just always keep a copy of the original. That's good practice. Packing slips are not an invoice. I've seen several people that try to submit the packing slip, and it won't go through because it's a packing slip, not an invoice. A receipt is also not an invoice. Amazon's going to get your application. They're going to look at the invoice, and if it does not say invoice on it, they're going to just kick it back, period. I have heard pros and cons to, if you are doing electronic annotating and it doesn't work, to try doing it by hand, and vice versa. If you're annotating by hand and it doesn't work, try doing it electronic. The one thing I will also state here is do not ever share invoices. I don't care how good your photoshopping skills are. If they catch you sharing invoices and any sort of fraudulentness going on, you'll just get suspended, and it's like a suspension for life. It's very, very hard to come back to. You're going to submit exactly what Amazon wants. And just because you are ungated in something doesn't mean you have brand approval to sell the item. I see a lot of people doing that. Well, Amazon said I could sell it. Well, I don't care if Amazon said you could sell it. The brand didn't say you could sell it. So you could still receive IP complaints and get suspended over it. One example of that is North Face. North Face is an auto ungate after so long. I got auto ungated after selling for a while. And there's some amazing deals with North Face at the discount stores. But North Face will send you get off our listing type of warnings. And I don't know if they've ever seriously gone after anybody, but they do not want you selling their stuff on Amazon. They will hound you to get off. So anyhow, just because you have an ungate for it does not mean that you have approval from the brand owner. So buyer beware, and that is why I now have an IP alert when I'm searching for things, and there's lots of other websites you can go to see if a brand is known for their IP complaints. And then lastly, just because you bought the item and you have that invoice doesn't mean that you have to sell that item on Amazon. You can sell it on eBay, whatever. You're just using the invoice to get ungated. Now, once you get ungated, you certainly can sell it on Amazon, but you don't have to. This is a copy of my invoice from 2M Distributions, which is also Shepher. Shepher. You've got the link down below. They sell toys. They will ship directly to Amazon. They will ship to you. And what I did was I bought some WWE figurines. You really only need to buy 10 to get ungated, but this was actually profitable. So I went ahead and bought more to make it worth my while, with shipping and everything to turn in. But this is an example of what an invoice looks like. It has the word invoice. Really important there. Invoice has to be on there. It's going to show my bill to address and my ship to address. It's going to have a description of the item. Sometimes it does not have, it's not going to have the UPC code in there. So the description of the item, it's got to match up with whatever you're applying for. We're going to go through some examples. And it's got all of the what I paid and stuff for it. It's got the emails. It's got Shepher's address. It's got everything that Amazon is asking for on that list of things that they are requiring. On the last two things that I have used invoices for to get ungated, I have not annotated at all for ungating. I have not blacked out my cost of purchase. I have not annotated it at all. If you're having, I suggest giving them the invoice as it is, as just a PDF. And if they kick it back for whatever reason, then try annotating. But you can try whatever you want. I'm always for less work, the better. Let's see here. This is what they are requiring. I blew it up for DVDs. So dated on or after December 5th. So if I were to apply, I pulled this one today. If I were to apply for DVDs today, I would need to make sure my invoices within, I think this is going to be the last 6 months. 180 days. Your name, address, matching the information on your selling account. So if we go back to this, I've blacked out my billing address and my ship to address. But if the bill to address was something crazy, like say you're married or you have a partner that's in a different location, or maybe you're going to ship from somebody else's address or something. Maybe you have a packer or a third-party packing system or packing company. If you're shipping it to them and that doesn't match your address on Amazon, they're going to kick it back. So make sure your bill to ship to address is what's on your Amazon account. That's really important. Same with your name. So ladies, if you've recently gotten married, or I don't know why you would have another name other than that. There's lots of different ins and outs, but make sure it matches up. I can't think of all the exclusions off the top of my head, but this is one that I see a lot of times people getting kicked back, and they're like, I don't understand why my invoice doesn't match. And you're going, oh, well, because now you've switched to a PO box because of the new changes this year. I switched to a PO box, so my shipping address and my PO box sometimes conflict, so I need to make sure that things are matched up name and address wise. Include the name and address of the manufacturer or distributor. Here's another one. I tried to get ungated with DVDs a long time ago, and the address of the manufacturer, they couldn't verify the address for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's what it was getting kicked back from. So you need to make sure that the manufacturer has a good name and address. So you don't want to go to www.shadysite.com and try to do that. You need to have a good manufacturer distributor. Like we talked earlier, there's lots of people that share that information, and I'm giving you some in this video. Combined purchase of 10 units. If we go back to this invoice, and let's say I just wanted to get ungated for WWE, I could have 10 single units, all WWE, but I'd also have to provide all 10 ASINs, and have them all match up. So that's why a lot of people just do 10 of one unit, because it's easier on the paperwork and less chances of getting kicked back. The omit pricing information is optional. When I applied a long time ago, They kicked me back because I didn't black out the pricing. But in the last 3 years, I've not blacked out the pricing, and it's been fine. So maybe just depends on the seller and time of year. Who knows? Let's see here. Please note that we may verify your submitted documentation by contacting the product vendors you identify in your application. They are going to call the people. So when they call up Shepherd, right here, that number, they're going to call and they're going to say, Lucy is trying to buy this and this is the invoice number. Is it legit? And they need to verify that. Now, do they 100% call? No, they don't 100% call. But I don't know who they're going to call and who they're not going to call. But it needs to have a good number on the invoice that somebody is going to pick up and verify your stuff. That's why a lot of times now with TJ Maxx and let's see here, my last IP claim Sierra receipts put on a number and it's going to be an automated phone tree. It's going to be really hard to get a hold of something, and that's why a lot of the receipts, at least according to the Amazon rep, are getting kicked back when you're using receipts for IP claims. I'm not talking about ungating for that, but that was a side note if you're having trouble with IP claims there. All right. Have everything on here is got to be on the invoice. This is terribly fuzzy. Apologies for that. But I wanted to show you what electronic annotation looks like. I couldn't find a good one, and I didn't have the time to go through and kind of annotate mine to show you. But annotating just means you're going to point out and kind of put what it is. So on this invoice, I would put a little red line and then just a little red line pointing to Mattel, WWE, and then I'd put a text in that says ASIN B1234 right there. And maybe circle my billing address, circle their information. You can even circle it and say number 1, and then over on the side put number 1 equals distributor's name, phone number, address. If you're still confused on that, you can Google it as well. There's some other good examples of annotating receipts out there. I found some good tips on the internet that I thought I'd share with you guys from somebody on invoices. You want to print a high quality, one-sided copy of the invoice, and you want to fit the printer settings so that all is visible on the invoice. You don't want to send a chopped up, unclean copy. So let's say this one, if I was trying to submit this to Amazon, it's too fuzzy. They'd kick this back. On this one, this is nice and clear and sharp. We could then go through and we could annotate, this is the invoice number, this is the ASIN right here. There's 10, more than 10 units, obviously, quantity 120. The address, everything that was on here, we could annotate on that invoice. This one's a little fuzzy, so you want to make sure you have a good quality copy you are sending in. Red pen, circle, underline, do not obstruct any text. And they're suggesting no highlighting. I've heard some people yay on the highlighting, some no on the highlighting. Again, if you're having trouble and you've used a highlighter, that could be it. No screenshots. I'm not sure. I would save it as a PDF. So let's see here. For purposes of this video, I took a snippet of this to insert it into the video here. But if I were going to submit this invoice, I would want to save it as a PDF most likely. If not, my second choice would be JPEG. My third choice would be PNG. Some people would say PNG over JPEG. It's one of those, again, that if you're getting kicked back, try one way or the other. Do not edit the document digitally in any way. Do not use a digital editing to mark the ASIN item. So they're suggesting not to do it digitally and to do it by hand. I've heard both. I've heard digital annotation works. I've heard it doesn't. So again, if you're having trouble, do the other way. Scanned the marked document, and they're suggesting PNG or JPEG, color, all pages, front and back. I've never submitted the back. I usually get electronic invoices and just shoot that over to Amazon and get approved in a couple hours. But again, if I was having trouble, these are all things that you can try if you are having trouble. Photo requirements. Found this outlined as well on the web this morning. If you are doing photos, they must be live photos of the product. They're not looking for catalog ready awesome pictures. They're looking to have your hand in the product showing all 6 sides of the product. So front, back, side, top, bottom, it needs to be all of 6 sides. I mean, don't try to submit 4. It's going to get kicked back. The labels must be in the language of that marketplace. They must contain the manufacturer. They must have the contact information of the manufacturer, the brand owner, and include any product, trademark, model numbers, and securely adhered, not easily removed from the package. So if you're having problems with photos getting kicked back, make sure you are following all of these requirements. And I had a blank. Jiminy, my new mouse and I do not get along. All right, let's go through Frontier Co-op. We've gone through toys. Now we're going to go through some grocery. Frontier Co-op is where I would go if I wanted to get ungated in grocery. This really should take you, less than an hour to do from start to finish, honestly, to open up an account, get signed in, get it ordered. Eventually you will get the invoice. I don't know if I want to say they send it over. They may send it in the product themselves. That's just off what I've heard. I have never bought from Frontier Co-op, so I am going off of what I have seen posted probably at least 100 times about Frontier Co-op on different boards. The website is wholesale.frontiercoop.com. You're going to go in and you're going to sign in and create an account. Now, these steps are the same steps I use for pretty much anything I'm looking at when I'm doing wholesale accounts. I'm going to find a wholesaler, create an account, go through their application process, see if anything that they sell is going to be profitable over on Amazon, and then either jump on a listing or create my own. But for grocery ungating, this one should work for you just fine. You're going to create an account. This is what the co-op wholesale create an account looks like. You're going to type in your company name. You should have a company name. And you're going to select probably retail or web retail would probably be the best fit. Sometimes they are pretty exact. They'll say, like Amazon seller. Sometimes it's a little more vague. If web retailer wasn't there, I would click retail business because the other ones don't really suit me. Then you're going to put in your billing address. At the bottom, you're going to sign here. Sometimes the companies will have their policies linked and you can go read their policies. I do that a lot too with wholesale companies. I will open up their policy and I'll search the word Amazon, online, seller, e-commerce, any of those words to see if they have any exact policies against selling on Amazon if I'm, researching a wholesale company. And then you're going to create the account name, email, password. So Frontier Co-op does not require an EIN. They're not asking for a reseller permit. It's pretty basic to get an account with them. This is the number one used item from Frontier Co-op to get ungated in grocery. It is very, very cheap and easy to do. I believe, I didn't sign in to view the price, but last time I checked, they were 99 cents a piece. So you're going to order 10. You need to get 10 of them. And it's going to be, less than $10. I don't know what shipping is, but for less than $20, you can get ungated in grocery here. So you're going to order 10. And again, you're going to have it shipped to the same address that's on file with Amazon. Same name, etc. That's why you want to make sure your account setup is exactly matching what's over on Amazon. You're going to find this product over on Amazon to apply for it, right? When I'm looking at these things, I usually have 2 tabs or 2 screens open so I can see the wholesaler I'm looking at and then see Amazon site. I sometimes flip between just going to Amazon.com and searching, and sometimes in my seller account add a product. The problem with the add a product is you have to be pretty exact in your search. Whereas if you're searching on Amazon's site, it's going to flag any keywords and you can see different bundles, etc. So if there was a bundle that had cinnamon, cloves, and I don't know, sage all together, you may find it a little bit easier over on just looking on Amazon's seller side or purchasing side versus the add a product side. So in here, I just typed in Frontier ground cinnamon, found it. It was a little bit down. It's got a terrible rank. That's because people just use it for ungating. Going for $3.99 over there on Amazon, and now we have the ASIN. The ASIN's right up here. Oop! Sorry. Scared myself. The ASIN's right up here in the web URL. We've got B07TXG, and you can just copy that. The ASIN is also, if you scroll down on this, you can grab the ASIN there. So if it's asking for pictures of this, don't submit this picture right here. They don't want this picture. It will get kicked back. They want to see you holding the actual ground cinnamon. All right, so we're going to grab the ASIN and we're going to click it right in here into add a product. This was just from inventory, add a product. Found it right here. We've got the UPC. So when you think back to that toy that we were looking at, the Funko Pop toy, we could grab the UPC, put it in here, find the exact match we want to link up with and apply for. Make sure when you click new, instead of sell this product, it has apply to sell. I'm ungated for groceries, so I don't have that button, but the little button will be right here, and then you'll click on that and you're going to submit the invoice. And then if it asks for pictures, you're going to submit the pictures for that item. And then you should be ungated fairly quickly. Now let's talk about Eastbay getting ungated for Nikes, Adidas, and Under Armour. I have only heard rumor, I have not tried this myself, that Eastbay will work. Eastbay does not have a wholesale site to join. It's just regular customers. It's going to be regular pricing too. So you need to kind of come up with a plan on whether you're going to use the products, resell them on another platform. If you want to sell them on Amazon, probably at a loss, but recoup some of your capital, you need to make that decision. So I'm going to show you kind of what I would do and how I would go about doing it. Where's my cursor? There we go. The account information that you need for Eastbay to sign up is pretty darn basic. So it's just like name, birth date, zip code, an email, a telephone number. That's about it. So it's pretty easy to get an account there. One thing that I do is I have an email that's just dedicated to these types of wholesale and applications. So all my emails go there. I have several emails and I don't want to clog up my other email with these types of things. And I also unclick the extra emails about new products, etc., especially on something like this, because I'm just using it for ungating. There's really no money to be made off of Eastbay. I've seen their clearanced out items. I've searched around for anything that's a moneymaker, and really Amazon's selling it at about the same price, if not cheaper, most of the times. Not saying it's all 100%, but I don't use Eastbay for sourcing. It'd be just solely for ungating or personal purchases. So I'm going to unclick those because I'm not interested in them. Fill out this, get the account going. Then we're going to go search for something. I'm going to use a Nike example. I also have an Adidas example. And like I said, I have not officially tried this, so I don't know if it would work. But I typed in Nike in the search bar. And then you got a choice between clothing, shoes, and then accessories and equipment. Typically, accessories and equipment are cheaper than Nike shoes and Nike clothing, right? Then on these websites, it will default to best seller or most featured or something. And I always change it from price low to high. That way I'm going to look at the cheapest items because really, I just want to get ungated and I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. But you know what? If you love Nike tennis shoes and there's a particular style you like and you're comfortable ordering 10 pair and wearing those shoes for the next 5 years, go for it. In this example, the first ones that come up here are these Nike Swish bicep bands. So if we click on one of them, we get into the detailed page. Now, sometimes down below, you can see the details and they will offer model numbers, part numbers, UPC codes, some more description that could come in handy. Now that we've kind of seen our first low discount item, buying 10 of these would cost you $50 plus shipping. We're going to take the title, Nike Swish Bicep Bands, we're going to copy, we're going to paste it over into just the Amazon thing, because we don't have a UPC on this. The first one that comes up right here is Nike Swish Bicep Bands. Exact match of the name of what we want. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to look at this listing. We're going to look at the model number. We're going to see if it matches up. We're going to look at the height, the length, the width, how many are in there. As you see, the picture shows a 2-pack. So if you were going to sell this, the customer is going to expect a 2-pack. It doesn't matter if it says anything else, any words, people go after the picture. But for ungating purposes, you need to make sure that it matches up and the rep on the other end shows an exact match of what you're purchasing and the ASIN particulars. So if the rep thinks it's a 2-pack, you better show on your invoice 20, because you need to show 10 of that ASIN, right? So you're going to have 10 ASINs and each have 2. So on your invoice, you need to have 20 of these little swish bands. Now, here we've got some pricing. I did click on the red and the blue, and they were a 2-pack as well. It just showed one picture here, but when you click on it, it shows a 2 picture, which is kind of weird, but it's Amazon. Get ready for weirdness. The white ones are going for $8.97. The black is the most expensive at $11.97. So if we were to spend $10 on getting them from Eastbay, $10 plus tax and shipping, and sell them for $12 on Amazon, I can guarantee you right now that you would lose a little bit of money with all the fees and everything. It might not be that bad of a loss, though, because if you're going to spend, let's see here, they're $5 a piece, so it'd be $100 in merchandise plus tax and shipping, and you got $60 of it back by selling them on Amazon. You know, that's really not that bad of a loss for getting ungated for Nike, right? So take everything with a grain of salt. If you use tennis bands and you really want those, then great, or whatever these swish bands. I use them for tennis, but there we go. So we've got a matchup. The model number did not match up exactly, but you know what? Sometimes that it was like not even the same format. When you get this item in, you physically are holding it in your hand. You will then have the UPC code, hopefully, and you can scan that into the Add a Product page and see if it's an exact match. So sometimes it's a little difficult to kind of line everything up, and there's a lot of double checking, triple checking, etc. that you will need to do. For me, as long as the height, length, and width matched up with the Eastbay item and the picture lined up and the title lined up, you know, we're ticking a lot of boxes, and for $100, I would probably try that out versus, you know, see what the next item you find is and if it's even a better match, and kind of, you know, find a couple different things and then pick which one has the best of the best. So now I've got an Adidas lineup, and what I did was I took just a little snippet from the Eastbay side, and on the right side is from the Amazon page. And here's one where we've got a lot of things going on. So one, these Adidas socks are on sale, clearance for $5.99. So that'd be a really good one to get in, right? When I copy and paste over, I get this match that kind of looked like a winner at first glance. But if you look at the toes, they have writing on the left, no writing on the right. The gray around the heel is a little bit different than the gray around this heel. The gray around the sole, is that the sole of the foot? It's a little bit different than right here. So it's not quite an exact match. So I would not match this up to sell it, and I would not match this one up for to try and get approval. Now, sometimes you can go here on the little thing and find like maybe this little sock is the exact matchup versus this one. And one thing that I do see a lot with images when people are making listings and they don't want to get a copyright infringement for whatever picture they stole, they will invert it and make the foot go the other way. I see that kind of a lot with other listings. You'll see that where you can find it on a manufacturer page or whatnot, and somebody's just tweaked the photo a little bit so that it's not an exact steal. It's still pretty much copying, but it's got a little it confuses the bots because the feet are now going different ways. Anyhow, keep your eyes out for that. For this one, I would not buy it. There is a chance that this is just the new packaging or something, or the customer's not going to see the difference, or the rep from Amazon is not going to see the difference, but I would not pick this one with those subtle differences. All right. From there, it's just a matter of going through and finding exact matches. We've got a purple pair there, we've got a purple pair over there, maybe those are an exact match, and then making sure that that's the one that you want to get ungated in and submitting your paperwork. That is all I've got for you guys today. I hope this video helped you out understanding ungating and maybe walked you through how you would do it and some things to watch out for. Knowledge is definitely the key. So if I've helped you out at all, please give me a thumbs up. That helps out my channel. I'm going to copy and paste these links down below. I did want to mention that with the Hanes, it was recommended to do the Hanes brand business to business to get Hanes products. That has recently been closed off, and so I'm looking for some alternative Hanes links out there for you guys, and I will try to do updated ungating videos, maybe in another 6 months or so, because the landscape is always changing, unfortunately. But I hope this helped you out, and if you have any insight, comments, things you'd like to add, go ahead and post them down below. I do read all of the comments, and I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much, and have a great day.